the attitude has been, we've got Josh Allen. We've got our new Jim Kelly, and he's better than Jim Kelly. He's Jim Kelly, and he can run, and he can make things happen out of the pocket. He's not just a pocket passer. This is the guy that's going to take us to where we've been trying to go forever. And they just kind of like, don't do anything else. It's like, we got Josh Allen. Well, okay, why are you going to win the Super Bowl this year? We got Josh Allen. Well, how are you going to get there? We got Josh Allen. How are you going to win the division? We got Josh Allen. And all the other stuff is secondary or tertiary if you're feeling a little extra fancy. So the house is on fire, and they have spent months denying that the house is on fire. And I think it's going to be too late to put the fire out. I think this is heading toward the big old reset button, and everybody's fired. And let's go find a new regime to take this team, which was trajectory, and now it's like back down here. They still have Josh Allen, but they need somebody who's going to take Josh Allen and not necessarily fix him. He doesn't need to be fixed. He just needs to be pointed in the right direction with enough around him. Offensively, defensively, special teams, only 11 guys, right? Next coach, first thing in the interview. How do you plan to fix special teams? I'll only put 11 guys on the field. I can guarantee you that. So this is just, I've said all year the Bills are the Jenga tower. It's either going to fall or it's going to wobble and it's going to stand. And it's fallen now. Now, look, 5-5, they could get hot. This could be the thing if they finally realize, you know what, we're a hot mess and we're going to spend the rest of the season admitting it and dealing with it and trying to fix it. Maybe they can start winning games now. They got the Jets this weekend. They should be able to beat the Jets. Maybe they can start building some momentum. Maybe this is the moment it bottoms out and they realize, we better wake our asses up or we're all getting fired. Coaching staff and front office. We better do something. Because, every week, Myles, like last week, I told you, and I admitted this, maybe I need an intervention for it. I watched the entire Ken Dorsey 25-minute press conference twice because I was looking for something to make me think that it was more than just word salads and cliches. And let me just answer this question so I can get to the next question, so I can get through this damn thing and go back to work so I don't have to deal with these people. There was nothing meaningful. I never get the sense that Ken Dorsey, I don't even think he understands the problem. How can you fix the problem if you don't understand it? If my air conditioner breaks in the summertime, I could stand there and look at it and say, I wonder what's wrong with it, or I could call somebody who knows what's wrong with it and fix it. I know what's wrong with it, it's not working. But I have no idea how to fix it. I feel like Ken Dorsey has no idea how to fix it, and you can't even begin to fix your problems. I don't mean to sound like a broken record, and I know that phrase has no relevance to today's youth. But
it does. Vinyl's very popular now.
They have to admit okay, good. I missed that. They have to admit that there's a problem before they ever are going to have a chance to fix it.
Well,
ever.
At this point, they have admitted that there's a problem, right? And the issue is it's an off-season problem that the Bills have to solve right now because there is no margin for error anymore, especially because they have 5 AFC losses. And so right now we're in a situation where there are a lot of really good teams in the AFC. I don't know how many great teams there are, but there are a lot of really good teams. And so when you have the Steelers with 3 losses, you have the Browns with 3 losses, the Houston Texans right now are 5-4, and they're getting better with their young quarterback. So you got to jump those teams, and then you've got to jump other teams who are also now 5-5, and you're not going to necessarily have a very good shot with the tiebreaker because you have 5 conference losses already. So that's going to be an issue going forward. There is no margin for error at this point with the Buffalo Bills. If they are 10-7 at the end of the year, they're not making the playoffs. There's not. There are too many good teams in the AFC that they're going to have to jump. So that's where it's like, man, you have now cost yourself so much by losing this game that you should have won, right? And that's why you have to admit that the house is on fire. Right? Sean McDermott admitting after the game, man, I'm confident in Ken Dorsey, but we're too inconsistent. I think we can be better. So talking about the inconsistency across the board, right? You got your quarterback who can't stop turning the ball over. That's a problem. You've got a defense that played, pretty admirably well. Think about all the injuries that they've got on defense. But then special teams wise, you're allowing the returner to get to really, really good yardage here, right? I mean, the average drive start for Denver was their own 42-yard line, and they only scored, 23 points, if I'm doing this math correctly in my head. This is not good enough here from the Bills, where you have all these things that are combining to losses. It's just, I don't know what else you do except say, well, at a certain point, has this regime taken the Bills as far as they can? I think at this point, that's a fair question, and we can give them the rest of the season to answer that, but they've got to fix this now with a sense of heightened urgency. Like the sense of urgency should have been there last night. It wasn't. So now you have to ratchet up that urgency that much more, because otherwise this is a lost season.
The sense of urgency should have been there for at least the entirety of the season and off season. But I feel like, the dynamic in Buffalo from the organization has been, they're more concerned about protecting their turf than they are about fixing their problems. This isn't about fixing our problems and becoming better. This is about not getting fired. And we're gonna push back on anyone who suggests that maybe people are going to be fired, and we're going to engage and we're going to discuss and we're going to argue that that's not going to happen, instead of doing the things necessary to, I don't know, this may sound crazy, keep it from happening. Now, I promised this earlier, and I need to remember to do this before we move on to other aspects of the game. We could do the full 2 hours on the show, or 2 hours of the show on the game, or something like that. We may not get to do much if I can't talk straight. Let's hear Sean McDermott after the game talking about what he called inexcusable, having 12 guys on the field for the field goal that Will Lutz missed. Here he is.
We practiced 2 or 3 times that this week, the substitution from dime to field goal block, and at the end of the day, we didn't execute it, so it's inexcusable.
Okay, not much to be gleaned from that. I'll go back and watch the entirety of that press conference after the show today, because you just want to see how he's dealing with that moment. Have they had the eureka? Has the switch finally flipped? Because you know what's happening, I think? The Bills fans are finally flipping that switch. And the Bills fans are declaring 5-alarm fire. And these are the things I pick up anecdotally on social media and in reactions to different things that we'll post and say.
Yeah.
When you're in the early stages of the life cycle of we're not as good as we need to be and this isn't going where it should go, the fans will defend that criticism. They'll blindly defend it because they don't want distractions and they don't want negativity, and they still believe. We believe. How dare you disturb our fantasy that we're finally going to win a Super Bowl by pointing out facts? How dare you do that? That's gone now. I think after last night, the average zealous Bills fan is going to be saying, tell everybody to pack their shit and leave. See, it took 26 minutes.
Okay.
I feel like that's because it was starting to come. There was, complaining among Bills fans, Josh Allen doesn't run enough, so they're not on board with the idea of let's keep him healthy for the playoffs and then he can run then. That has been out there. That's been a talking point lately. And I just feel like that was the sign that it's coming, that the backlash is building. And after last night, I think that they're going to hear it. And for their next home game on Sunday against the Jets, if they don't come out of the gates and blow the doors off the Jets, it's going to get loud and it's going to get ugly. And there may be signs, there may be bags on the head. I feel like last night's game, Bills Mafia is out on the current regime.
Look, it's a turning point. And so one of my best friends is from Buffalo, lives there now. And, I told him after the game last night, you get the group chat going, right? And like, it was in the acceptance stage of grief. And so once you get to that point, that is where you really need to start being concerned, because it's one of these situations where there have been signs for over a year now. Because Mike, when we would do shows last year and I would say, man, the Bills, they have some lapses. Josh Allen turns the ball over a little bit too much. And I would get Bills fans in my mentions and they'd be very, very mad at me. And then we got to the postseason. And what did Josh Allen do? He turned the ball over. He was reckless. He couldn't get things going. They lost badly to the Cincinnati Bengals at home in the divisional round. And it's like, guys, I mean, the warning signs have been there. Right. And so now we get to this year and Josh Allen cannot stop turning the ball over. He's got 14 turnovers this year, more than Mac Jones and Desmond Ridder. More than Mac Jones and Desmond Ridder. We need to let that sink in for a second here. And not all of them are his fault, as we watch Gabe Davis drop a perfectly placed ball over the middle and it goes into the hands of somebody who's not exactly my cousin, Justin Simmons. But like, look at what's going on here. Late to the outside from opposite hash to the sideline. What are you doing? Why are you doing this? You can't make that throw. I don't understand. It's like when Kyle Shanahan's talking about the horrible decision that Brock Purdy made that ended up at a touchdown. It's like, well, you'll live with it if it's a touchdown. But that's not what happened there. Josh Allen and Cook, they can't get the mesh point right. Ball ends up on the ground. We got church money on the ground. And look what the Broncos do. They pick it up. It's amazing. I mean, Cook later on in the game, when the ball miraculously bounces up back to him, it's like, well, I don't know what was going on there, but that was lucky. But you can't keep doing those things and still win. And like, that's really what the problem is with the Bills. They have these lapses. They don't really, I don't know what exactly it is that they don't do. It's like they lose focus, right? Josh Allen makes terrible decisions. And then all of a sudden, we get to the ends of the game and they're like, why is this game so close? It's like, oh, because they can't stop freaking turning the ball over. That's a problem. It's why Josh Allen right now is one of the big issues with the Buffalo Bills. He just is.
Well, and this is something that Sims and I have gone back and forth about for the last couple of years. When the window was wide open and it looked like they were on the brink of getting back to the Super Bowl, and then it started to go the other way. You know, the criticism that Chris would have and still has is they don't have enough help around Josh Allen. It can't just be Stephon Diggs. There's flashes of guys, but there isn't another superstar. That's one of the reasons I was saying, hey, they should trade for Derrick Henry. Trade for Derrick Henry and reset your offensive identity around Derrick Henry and have Josh Allen as the guy who operates out of play action after Derrick Henry is gashing the hell the way James Cook was last night of the opposing offense. Run the ball. Broncos aren't great against the run. Run the ball. Don't try to do these things that just aren't there. They got it in their head early on that Josh Allen is Superman. Mm-hmm. And everyone has bought into the narrative that Josh Allen is Superman. The problem is, all too often, he's not faster than a speeding bullet. He's not more powerful than a locomotive. And he's not able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. And nobody seems to think, okay, maybe that means he's not really Superman to the point where he can just do this on his own. There's too much of that. This guy can do it. Look at what he does. There's enough that, like they say about golfers, they keep coming back because there's that one shot around, that one shot that makes them think they can eventually turn that one shot into every shot. There's that one play a game. Josh Allen had that throw where he was rolling left. Gabe Davis sat down in the zone, and he fired that rope right into his hands, and he actually caught it, didn't glance off of his hands, unlike earlier in the game. And that was like that's like the, hey, there's Josh Allen. The touchdown run, hey, there's Josh Allen. There's not enough, hey, there's Josh Allen. And there's too much of, what the hell did I just see? And nobody wants to admit it. Nobody wants to admit it, because if they admit it, then the next question is, how are we going to fix it? And I just don't think they know how to fix it. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.